Now on BBC4, Alan Clark was not the only diarist in the family. His brother Colin was Laurence Olivier's personal assistant when he made The Prince and the Showgirl with Marilyn Monroe. It was, to put it mildly, a rather stressful shoot, and with strong language, Colin Clark committed it all to paper. La 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 la, la 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 la
la. My name is Colin Clark. In 1938, when I was 5, my father, Kenneth Clark, was made Controller of Publicity at the Ministry of Information. This meant that he was responsible for extricating British actors from the armed forces so that they could work in patriotic films. Through this work, my father and mother met all the stars of the film world, including Laurence Olivier and Vivien Leigh. At the age of 12, I told my father I wanted to be a film director. To my surprise, he took me seriously, and from then on a visit to the film studios was a dream fulfilled. In the summer of 1956, when I was 24, I found myself involved in the biggest showbiz story of the year. Marilyn Monroe, the world's most glamorous movie star, was coming to England to make a film with Sir Laurence Olivier. The film was The Prince and the Showgirl, and throughout the production, I kept a daily journal of events as they unfolded. I was the least important person on the set, the third assistant director, a kind of superior messenger boy. You can just see the side of my head there, behind Sir Laurence. No one can feel threatened by a third AD, except perhaps the extras, and most people involved in the film felt they could be open with me. Little did I know that the person I'd end up most intimate with would be the star herself. So, this is my story. The Prince, the Showgirl, and me. Sunday, 3rd of June, 1956. At 9 a.m. tomorrow, I will be at Laurence Olivier's film company to offer my services on his next production. 2 weeks ago, Larry and Vivien came down to stay for the weekend at Saltwood, my parents' home in Kent. Mama told Vivien that I wanted to work in films. I was mortified, but Vivien just gave a great purr and said, "Larry will give Colin a job, won't you, Larry, darling?" I could see Larry groan under his breath. "Go and see Hugh Percival at 146 Piccadilly," he said. "He might have something." So, that is where I have an appointment in the morning. Could be fun. Monday the 4th of June. Arrived at the office of Laurence Olivier Productions, punctual and sober. Mr. Percival is a tall, thin, gloomy man with black-rimmed spectacles. He puffs a pipe continually. "Yes, what do you want?" "I want a job on the Marilyn Monroe film." "Oh, you do you? What as?" "Anything." "Well, we don't start filming for 8 weeks. You really should come back then. I'm afraid I misunderstood, Laurence. I thought you were coming to interview me about the film." Blind panic. I must say something. "Can I wait here until there is a job?" "Well, it's a free country, I suppose. But I'm telling you, it's going to be 8 weeks, and then I can't promise anything. Good day." Wednesday, 6th of June. Completely ignored all morning. However, by lunchtime, Mr. P needs my help. "I need to find the telephone number of someone called Noel Coward." Mr. P pronounced the name very carefully, as if I was an idiot. "You will have to call X and he will know why. He will give it to you if you say you are calling for me." I rang Saltwood. "Oh, Carl, how lovely to hear you." "Mama, this is urgent. I need Noel Coward's number right away." "How exciting." I could hear Mama looking at her voluminous card index. "Here it is." Straight into Mr. P's office with the number. That was very quick. Good. Ah, these tiny triumphs. Tuesday, 12th of June. Larry arrived. He was taken aback to see me, but managed a "Hello, dear boy," before disappearing into Mr. P's office. A few seconds later, in comes Vivien. Colin, darling. Vivian comes up so close to me that our noses are almost touching. She gives a pleading look. Please look after my darling Larry for me, will you? She flutters her eyelids, gives a quick, confidential smile, and sweeps off into Mr. P's office. After 10 minutes, she reappears, kisses me on both cheeks with her lips pointing at my ears, and goes off with her chauffeur. Larry stays about an hour before he and Mr. P go off for lunch at the Ivy. Wednesday, 13th of June. Work at last. Mr. P called me into the office. You might as well know everything we're doing if you are to be of any use. He showed me a huge sheet of paper covered in columns and shaded squares. This is really Mr. P's pride and joy, his chef d'oeuvre. It's called a cross plot. It's been cunningly worked out so that Pinewood Studios A and B can be alternated, with a different set being built on one stage while the other is used for filming. To get the most out of each set, the film is not shot in chronological order. If there is a scene in a particular room at the beginning of the story and another in the same room at the end, then they will both be filmed together. I don't dare ask anything about MM. Anyway, my job is to be preparing for her arrival. Police, press, chauffeur, bodyguard, servants, redecorations, everything to delight her eye and soothe her nerves. She must be a very difficult lady. Can't believe anyone has to be spoiled so much. What would Nanny have said? Tuesday, 19th. 6 weeks until filming starts and lots to prepare. Today, I was given a long explanation about how film studios work. The lighting cameraman is head of one group, the designer has his crew, there's wardrobe, makeup, film editing, etc. The director has a right-hand man, and the lowest of the low is the third assistant director, who is known as a gopher. That'll be my job. Thursday, 21st of June. Sir Lawrence is worried. I'm not surprised. I saw the play on which the film is going to be based, The Sleeping Prince. Larry and Vivian did it together at the Phoenix Theatre, and it was a very slight piece indeed. Typical Rattigan, theatrical, charming, and that's all. Vivian was enchanting as ever, but I thought Larry was at his worst. He has an old-fashioned notion that it's funny to play European royalty, and he gets wooden and mannered. Hardly Hollywood. I can't see it being a good role for Marilyn Monroe. I suppose she thinks it will enhance her new intellectual image to play opposite the greatest classical actor of the generation. Unless Marilyn is cleverer than she looks, she'll find it jolly hard to mix her style with Olivier's. Maybe she'll surprise us all.
When you're America's top blonde, it's no good hoping for a quiet honeymoon. Marilyn Monroe and her new husband, playwright Arthur Miller, at least managed to get married secretly. But now the press catch...
Friday, 22nd of June. Sir Lawrence was in quite a state. It seems that Marilyn Monroe is going to marry Arthur Miller this weekend. What sort of effect will that have on the production? Sir Lawrence says that Miller is a self-satisfied, argumentative pseudo-intellectual. Charming. Will it make Marilyn argumentative too? She has a dreadful reputation already among movie directors. The co-producer of the film is Milton Green. He got Marilyn out of her contract to 20th Century. Evidently, Green has given Sir Lawrence his assurance that he can make Marilyn behave herself. After all, it is her own money that is involved this time. If Marilyn doesn't turn up for work, then she and Green start losing money. Well, that's the theory, anyway. Poor Sir Lawrence. He doesn't trust the Americans and is out of his depth. What have I got myself into, Colin? I think it'll be a fantastic success, Larry, I replied. Success for her, or success for me? On top of all that, there is the problem of the Strasbergs. Lee Strasberg is head of the Actors Studio in New York, where Marilyn sometimes studies. He's her god, king of the method.
The method. Well, what is the method, and why are we devoting 1.5 hours to it at this time of night? It's accepted in America, is used throughout most of the world, but in England it's regarded with a higher suspicion.
Lee doesn't want to come over to London, so he's sending over his wife, Paula.
Paula Strasberg, married to Lee Strasberg, dedicated to 50 years of good listening.
Paula Strasberg is a famous menace. As Marilyn's drama coach, she could undermine Sir Lawrence. Everyone is seduced by Marilyn's particular form of glamour, and Sir Lawrence fears he has fallen into the same trap. Marilyn is not like any leading lady he's ever known, and he can't fathom it. He can't figure out whether she has a brain or not. She'll be here in 3 weeks, and then we'll find out. Tuesday, 26th. Today, Terence Rattigan came in to meet Sir Lawrence for lunch. I've met Rattigan before, but he didn't remember me. He's queer, of course, although I've nothing against that. He's charming to everyone, but with a cautious look in his eye. I can't pretend I think he's much cop as a writer. Of course, there's always an edge, but if there wasn't, his plays would be just blancmange. Sir Lawrence and Vivian probably know this, but they love to have queer courtiers, and Rattigan's plays are quite good vehicles for actors. Wednesday, 27th of June. Mr. P has finally admitted that Marilyn may need a bodyguard, so I rang Scotland Yard.
Information room, Scotland Yard.
When I finally got through to someone senior enough, they were incredulous and angry. Miss Marilyn Monroe will be adequately protected by the police while in the country, like every other American visitor. I patiently explained that if there was a retired inspector around who would like to spend 4 months in Miss Monroe's company for a high salary, I would like his name. Once again, the magical Marilyn Monroe image made a strong man wilt.
Just give me 5 minutes.
In fact, I think the commissioner sounded as if he might resign there and then to take the job. Imagine what he could tell the wife. Line of duty and all that. He would have someone call me in the afternoon. And he did call. A real Inspector Plod. He was cautious and realistic, not at all overawed. Sounds just what Mr. P and I need.
Every day it's a-getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster.
Thursday, 5th of July. Mr. P and I went down to Pinewood Studios today. We didn't tell the driver, but he was on trial for the job as Marilyn's chauffeur. I think he will be perfect. He's very stupid and never shows any emotion at all. The car, an Austin Princess, has a glass division. Plod will ride up front with the driver, while Marilyn rides in the back. I wonder if Arthur Miller will come to watch his bride filming, or stay in his study and write plays. Mr. P and I inspected Marilyn's dressing room suite. We were shown a series of what looked like old cowsheds, which made me anxious. Don't worry, Colin. The scene builders and set dressers only need 48 hours to convert this into the Dorchester. In the wardrobe department was one of the prettiest little girls I have ever seen in my life. Slim as a wand, with huge brown eyes. This is very good news indeed, since I'm going to be working here myself for 4 months. The head of the department is a large motherly lady. She definitely feels it's her duty to protect her little lambs from prowling third ADs. But the wand was thrilled to bits. After all, I was with Mr. P, and Mr. P is the supreme boss, at least until Sir Lawrence arrives. Monday, 9th of July. Sir Lawrence started to distribute cigarettes when he came in this morning. He's delighted that they've named a new cigarette after him, and now he gets free packets of Olivier's for life. I suppose I didn't look as thrilled as I might have at this news, so he told me quite sharply that the same tobacco company had named a cigarette after the great actor Du Maurier. "Oh, of course, yes, wonderful," I cried. But to me, the idea of someone as great as Sir Laurence Olivier advertising something is a shame.